There's a moment in sports where everything shifts. Not with a bang, not with a speech, just a lap time. 1 minute 29.2. New lap record at Le Mans. But it wasn't a pole lap. It was not set in Q2 with fresh rubber and clean track. It was set in Q1 by a man who couldn't even make it out of practice on Friday. A man who, unknown to everyone watching, had a damaged screw pressing against the radial nerve on his shoulder. All season, every corner, every braking zone. And he still did that. Marquez, always the hardest man in the room, right? Wrong weekend to find out body has limits, because 12 hours later, he was in a hospital in Madrid, getting prepped for double surgery, both a fractured foot and that shoulder, finally getting fixed. And the championship just got handed to someone who's been quietly and patiently waiting for exactly this moment. Welcome to Le Mans, welcome to the art of motor racing, welcome to the race that might, just might, change everything.
Perez goes off the track, off goes Leclerc, through goes Hamilton!
Before we even get into the racing, let's talk about championship coming into France. Marco Bezzecchi, he was leading this thing. Yeah, you heard me right. Marco freaking Bezzecchi. 101 points, calm, consistent. He's quietly becoming the most complete rider on the grid, while everybody else was too busy staring at Ducati. Then there's Jorge Martin on 90 points. Basically, just one fast weekend away from blowing this title fight wide open. And Mark, he was on 57 points. Still dangerous, still terrifying over one lap. Still very capable of doing things on a motorcycle that don't really make sense, but something felt off this year. The speed, we could see that, but Sunday results weren't there. And now we know why as we find out at Le Mans. A secret injury that had been compromising him all season. Suddenly, the Ducati super team thing, with two world champions sharing 12 world titles between them, it didn't look so untouchable anymore. Friday at Le Mans, it told you something wasn't right with Marquez. He was 16th in the practice session, the defending world champion 16th, missing the direct Q2 cut by 1/10 of a second. Right after Bagnaia's late crash brought yellow flags out and he couldn't do his final hot lap. He said, "Unlucky we're in Q1." He was diplomatic, composed, not telling you about the screw in his shoulder just yet. And you could almost feel the paddock relaxing a little bit, like, okay, maybe Ducati aren't invincible after all. Then came Saturday morning, and everything changed. Whatever happened on Friday didn't matter anymore. Mark, he went out in Q1. He absolutely detonated the lap record, 1 minute 29.2. Not just the quickest in Q1, not the quickest all weekend, but quickest any human has ever gone around Le Mans circuit on two wheels. That time it would have put him on pole, but in Q2 with fresh rubber and clean air, he couldn't repeat it. The shoulder that we'd learn later made the time attacks a very different proposition to race pace. But buried underneath all of that, there was another story that honestly deserves way more respect than it's getting. Fabio Quartararo. Because I need people to understand how ridiculous this was. That Yamaha has been a disaster all year long. And somehow, Fabio, he still dragged that thing onto the second row at his home Grand Prix. He was 17th on Friday. He came through Q1 alongside Marquez. And he put that Yamaha V for 6th on the grid by Saturday afternoon. Le Mans, they absolutely lost its mind, and deservingly so. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, whatever Yamaha is or isn't, Fabio Quartararo, he's extraordinary. The bike doesn't deserve him. I'm sorry, it just doesn't. Now the sprint race. So if you look on paper, this should have been a Ducati weekend. Pecco Bagnaia on pole, Mark right behind him on the front row. Back to Ducati P1 and P2. It had all the ingredients of one of those normal Ducati domination weekend. Then the lights went out. Jorge Martin, he was starting 8th. He took an outside line through the first chicane that was somewhere between genius move or insanity. And by turn 4, he was leading from 8th to 1st in just 4 corners. That's not a good start. That's somebody sending a clear message to everyone. And once he got clean air, it was over. Bagnaia tried hanging on. Bezzecchi, he also tried to stay close, but Martin, he looked different. Aggressive without overriding. Calm without being passive. Like he finally trusted the bike completely. He won the sprint. And honestly, the scary part for everyone else, it didn't even look difficult. But then the whole weekend changed again. Because with one lap to go, Marquez, he crashed violently. Huge high side. Ducati flipping through the air, Mark hitting ground very hard, and immediately he was struggling to get on his feet. At first, if you see that, you're like, okay, a sprint crash, maybe painful. He'll probably try again on Sunday. Very typical Mark Marquez fashion. Then came the medical updates. He had fractured the fifth metatarsal, and the bigger story, shoulder issue, it wasn't new. And he had already planned a surgery to fix it. He'd been just managing that surgery all season silently while the whole paddock wondered why the defending champion looked slightly off. Suddenly, everything started making sense. The strange Sunday crashes, the inconsistency, the moments where the motorcycle looked fine, but Mark didn't. The guy had literally been fighting his own body the entire time. And honestly, now if you look at that Q1 lap, it becomes even more crazier. He left for Madrid to get the surgeries, leaving France halfway through the weekend and definitely missing Barcelona. Target return for Mark right now is Mugello. Sunday felt different, even before the lights went out. Not dramatic, just different. Like the whole grid could suddenly realize the big bad Ducati lineup, it wasn't immortal after all. In Aprilia, they smelled blood. Pecco Bagnaia from the pole, no Mark Marquez, so just one factory Ducati, one shot at stopping those Aprilia machines. Lights out. Martin, he was starting 7th, but this time he went backwards before going forward, unable to find the same gap he exploited on Saturday. Bezzecchi led. Quartararo was on the soft front while most ran hard. He slotted into second. The crowd, they started roaring. Costa started hunting Quartararo down. Pecco Bagnaia, he started moving through as well. Fabio dropped, but he still stayed in contention. And Martin, he picked up his way through the grid, patiently, methodical. Not the fireworks of the sprint. This was something more considered. He was running 2 seconds behind the leader on lap 15, then 1 second, then half second. Then Pecco Bagnaia, he crashed at the Dunlop chicane on lap 16. He gone out of the second position. Lone factor Ducati hope it was eliminated. Jorge Martin, he took second from him. Bezzecchi was a second ahead with 9 laps to go. He was half a second faster on each lap. With 3 laps to go, he made the move. Martin attacked the same chicane, clean and decisive. Led for the first time. Bezzecchi, he couldn't respond. Jorge Martin crossed the line first. His first Sunday win since Indonesia 2024. 588 days. First Grand Prix victory on Aprilia. The first rider in MotoGP to complete a double with 2 different manufacturers. Bezzecchi came home in second. Third, Ogura, the 2024 Moto2 World Champion, on his debut MotoGP podium for Trackhouse Aprilia. It was an all Aprilia podium. And listen, this is important. This isn't just some random race result. This manufacturer went 11 years without a Premier Class victory before 2022. Now they're locking out podiums at Le Mans. This, that's not just progress anymore. This is power shift. Unprecedented. Behind them, Fabio Di Giannantonio, he came home in fourth, who passed Pedro Acosta on final lap, and Quartararo sixth. Home hero. Best result for the Yamaha V4 era on Sunday. Also shout out to Ogura because that podium ride, it was seriously impressive. He's quietly becoming one of the smartest riders on the grid. No panic, no unnecessary aggression. Just keeps putting himself exactly where he needs to be. And suddenly, he's fifth in the championship. This is his second season in MotoGP, and he's already riding with the calm of a veteran. That is scary. Now, I want to go back to something I said earlier this season when Jorge Martin was putting in good results. I said he's not fully fit yet. He's still finding his way with this Aprilia. He's still getting in sync with this motorcycle. And I said when he's fit, when he's in sync with this bike, he will be lethal. Le Mans was the first time we saw it. Not just winning the sprint, not just winning the race, but the way he did it, from 8th on the grid in the sprint, controlling from the front, and from 7th in the race, working through traffic, hunting down his own teammate, and making the move when it mattered. That is not a man who's rediscovering his form. That's a world champion who's just found his machine. And when it came down to the two of them on same machinery, the 2024 world champion, he showed the 2026 championship leader exactly where the limit is. Now, they're just separated by 1 point. 1 point with 17 rounds remaining? Well, I guess the fight is on. Martin versus Bezzecchi, Aprilia versus Aprilia, teammate versus teammate. 1 point. Le Mans was just the beginning. The Martinator isn't back. He never left. If you enjoyed this one, and I hope you did, please subscribe. Do leave a comment. Tell me whether you think Bezzecchi can hold him off or not. I want to know what you think. Next up, Barcelona, the Catalan Grand Prix. Marc Marquez is out. Jorge Martin is locked in, and the RSTP might just be unstoppable. I'll see you there.